this vote, the yeas are 412, the nays are 10, 6 recorded as present.
After Congress overwhelmingly passed a resolution condemning Hamas for its attack in southern Israel October 7th, New Jersey Democrat Josh Gottheimer took to X to say the 15 Democrats who did not vote for the measure were despicable and do not speak for the party. He was only half right. Those 15 younger members from progressive constituencies may in fact represent the Democratic future. The party of Franklin D. Roosevelt has an anti-Semitism problem.
Israel does have a right to self-defense. I think what we need to take a look at in this situation is if collective punishment qualifies as defense.
This week, progressive activist groups released a Gaza 2024 statement, asserting they will not vote for Joe Biden if he continues to support Israel's genocidal attacks in Gaza.
The American people are actually quite far away from where the president and even Congress, the majority of Congress, has been on Israel and Gaza.
We must, without equivocation, denounce anti-Semitism. We must also, without equivocation, denounce Islamophobia.
It's time to revisit the subject of false equivalence.
Long live Intifada!
1,400 people murdered by terrorists in cold blood in the most gruesome of ways that we haven't seen in 75 years. You don't see the same type of support because no other reason than we're Jewish.
From the river to the sea!
When they say from the river to the sea, they say without any Jews.
We weren't even given proper time to grieve. Protests started the next day in America, anti-Israel.
Israel, you get high!
Will you feel safe on the campus of NYU?
I'm still struggling with that. Part of me feels that somebody needs to be there because if nobody's there, then who's the only voice?
The October 7th attack on Israel is often described in media reports as the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. But that phrase manifestly has no meaning or resonance for many recently educated Americans. It is an abstraction. So a reminder for those who forget. The Jewish Holocaust ran from 1933 to 1945. It was what Germany's Nazi Party under Adolf Hitler called the final solution to the Jewish question.
Just shortly after the Reichstag pogrom on the 30th of January 1939, Hitler said, in the event of another world war, the result will not be the victory of the Jews and of Bolshevism, but the eradication of Jewry throughout Europe.
Some 6 million Jews were murdered at concentration camps during the Holocaust. And in the years since, Jewish leaders and writers have tried to keep its memory alive in the belief that the human poison of Jew hatred is never dead, but remains dormant. They were right.
Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS are all there together, wishing to ban us all from the face of the earth. And if it starts with Israel and it starts with the Jews, it will never end there. Europe will be next.
On balance, the Biden administration's support for Israel has been firm because its representatives recognize the direct line between the 1930s and October 7th. But the insistence by party activists on an Israel-Gaza equivalence is false.
How do you look at one atrocity and say this is wrong, but you watch as bodies pile up, as neighborhoods are leveled?
October 7 was the return after 80 years of Jewish extermination, an explicit goal of both Hamas and Iran, whose Ayatollah Khamenei sits placidly pondering the completion of the final solution.
In just the past few weeks, multiple foreign terrorist organizations have called for attacks against Americans and the West. ISIS urged its followers to target Jewish communities in the United States and Europe.
The Hamas person-by-person massacre is an event on a scale far beyond any other standard U.S. political issue. The question is whether the embrace of anti-Semitism by so many of the Democratic Party's rank and file will finally push them over the line with voters, not least the historically reliable Jewish vote.
The ground action actually creates the possibility, not the certainty, but the possibility of getting our hostages out.
Best case, President Biden would explicitly and publicly drive a stake through the heart of the anti-Semitism rising within his party.
They would rather embrace anti-Semitism within their ranks than upset their liberal base.
Cynics will reply that the anyone but Trump factor is always out there, but don't count on it. Rationally, many large Jewish donors have already pulled the plug on Harvard, Columbia, and Penn. The party of FDR could be next.
There's a point where cowardice becomes complicity, and they're way past that point.